Sean Monahan has officially won the Masterton Trophy for the 24-25 season. And honestly, just a continuation of one of the best stories in sports this season. We'll talk about that a little bit on today's bonus, Locked on Blue Jackets.
You're Locked on Blue Jackets, your daily podcast on the Columbus Blue Jackets, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked on Blue Jackets, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. I am, as always, your host, Jay Foster, here to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly about your favorite team and mine, the Columbus Blue Jackets. Before we get things started, just a little bonus episode today, but I want to thank everyone for making this your first listen of the day, or your second listen, since there's already an episode out this morning. But making it your first or second listen every single day. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. Just a quick little bonus hit here. Not a full episode, but I wanted to talk about the news that Sean Monahan has won the Masterton Trophy. Was one of three finalists. It was him. It was Gabe Landeskog of the Avalanche, who, in fairness, also had an incredible story coming back after, I think, 3 full years off due to injury, and also Marc-Andre Fleury, who is the oldest man alive. That's no disrespect to Marc-Andre Fleury, but it really felt to me like this was a race with two horses in it. And it always feels a little bit bad to talk about the Masterton and be like, well, this guy deserves it more than this guy, because like one guy lost his best friend and the other guy like thought he was never going to play hockey again, you know? And it's been given to guys that have had, strokes and cancer and like almost lost an eye. Like, just it always feels a little bit bad to be like, well, this guy deserves it the most. But that being said, I do think that Sean Monahan was an incredibly deserving recipient of the Masterton Trophy. I know that it is typically seen as, an award for either guy who was really injured or guy who is really old. But the Masterton Trophy is, the actual, not definition, but it is handed out annually to the player who best exemplifies perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. And I think that Sean Monahan is a really easy choice for all of those things, right? I think that, especially when you look at this season, when you look at like, I think it was near the end of the season or potentially in the off season, there was a really good story posted by Aaron Portzline of The Athletic where, he talked to Sean Monahan about, Johnny Gaudreau passing away and, the season that he had. And he talked in that about, he was literally on his way to, like, he was about to leave for Columbus when he got the news. He was about to drive here for the season to start, because obviously it happened like 2 weeks before training camp opened. And I think no one in the world, I think, would have blamed him if he was like, actually, I can't do this. I can't go and play and work where my best friend, who just died horribly and way before his time, and senselessly played and worked for the last 2 years, right? He came, I think everyone would have understood if he had been just god-awful all season long, right? And he wasn't. He was incredible. He looked like prime Sean Monahan, right? He's had some tough seasons due to injury. He's, bounced around the league a little bit. Obviously went from Calgary. He played in Calgary for a long time and then went to Montreal for I think 2 full seasons, near enough, and then went to Winnipeg at the end of last season for the playoff push there, and then obviously came to Columbus. So bounced around a lot, has been injured a lot. Thought he was coming to Columbus to play with his best friend for the next 5 years, right? And he didn't get to do that. And I think I don't think anyone would have been able to criticize him if his heart hadn't been in it, right? And I think that's true of a lot of the Blue Jackets this season. It feels like I think, I've talked about this at length, and a lot of people have talked about this at length. Like, could anyone have faulted the Blue Jackets if they had just completely fallen apart this season and, been in contention for the first overall pick, in contention to be a lottery team once again? And the answer is no. I don't think anyone could have faulted them. And instead, they were 2 points out of a playoff spot, right? I know that that's a disappointing end to the season after they were in a playoff spot for so long and got beaten right at the last minute. But a lot of that was because of Sean Monahan's play. He was over a point a game. He was a legitimate 1C for this team. He unlocked a lot of the potential in the younger guys. I think Adam Fantilli is a really good example of that. Obviously, he clicked with Karol Marchenko in a way that hopefully we get to see for the next, 4 years or longer. And I think he just kind of brought an attitude of, John would have wanted me to play hockey, so I'm going to play hockey and I'm going to have fun. And I think that made the rest of the team be like, well, if he can do it, so can I, right? And I think that, to me, is really, really inspiring and heartwarming. And I think if Sean Monahan wasn't in Columbus this season, I don't think Columbus has the season that they have, right? I think he was a huge part of the step forward they took this season. And I also think if Sean Monahan hadn't been in Columbus, I don't think he would have had as powerful a season, right? Because I think that was obviously, everyone on the team kind of looked at him and was like, well, if Shorten could do it, then so can I, right? But I think also it was really, really good for him to be in a space that understands what it's like. Obviously, no one was as close to Johnny Gaudreau as Sean was, right? I think that seems fair to say. In terms of hockey players, like they were best friends. I think basically Sean Monahan came to Columbus because Johnny was like, "Hey, come play with me," and he was like, "Okay." It's they were very, very close, but a lot of the players in Columbus were close to Johnny as well. Almost every single player on this team played with him last year, apart from a handful of the new guys that they brought in after. And I think having players that knew what it was like to play with Johnny, I think having the jersey hanging up next to him, I think having the pictures, having the number 13 everywhere, like I think that was really good for Monahan as well. So it really felt like the Blue Jackets helped him and he helped the Blue Jackets. And I think this was just a really, really it feels so weird to call it a feel-good story because obviously it comes from something so sad and so tragic in, Johnny Gaudreau passing away, but Sean Monahan coming to a new city and honoring Johnny and having a really great season and then winning the Masterton for perseverance and for Meredith at the very beginning of the season, the Blue Jackets played a video on the Jumbotron that basically said, it was from Meredith Gaudreau, and it basically said, love the game the way that John loved the game, right? Play the way that he played. And I think Sean Monahan really embodied that. And that's why I think that like him winning the Masterton was just such an easy choice. And this is not me saying that other players weren't also deserving of it, right? Like I think Landeskog's story is incredible. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins next year, right? If he makes it through the off season without, a setback, if he ends up playing, a lot of next season, I could very well see Gabe Landeskog being in the position to win the trophy this time next year. But this is not me saying that other players are not deserving of it, right? But I think Sean Monahan is just an incredibly deserving guy. And it feels like a really good end to the story of his first season in Columbus, right? It wasn't what he thought it was going to be. It wasn't what any of us thought it was going to be, but he gets to finish this year of honoring Gaudreau with an award for honoring Gaudreau. And that feels really, really special to me. If you haven't seen the video that the NHL put out, go and watch it. It's incredible, but also take tissues with you. Don't do what I did and think, oh, I can just quickly watch this while I'm, grilling a cheese or making a toasted sandwich, which is what I was doing, and then get distracted by all of the emotions you're having and burning your lunch. But take tissues, watch the video. It's really, really powerful. And just congratulations to Sean Monahan. He really, really deserved it. That's kind of it for this little bonus episode. I'll be back tomorrow. We're going to talk about the Buffalo Sabres a little bit and what kind of players we could get from there. in terms of they seem to be having some kind of fire sale, but that's tomorrow's episode. I'll finish this episode by thanking you all for making this your first or second listen of the day, and reminding you that Locked On Blue Jackets is free and available on all podcast platforms and over on YouTube. And until tomorrow, make sure you stay locked on.